May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? Hi everybody, I'm Henry Mahesan and the third generation of Mahesan's family. I am here to thank every one of you on behalf of all families, especially Grandma, Mrs. Christabel and Bumani Mahesan for your presence here today for my grandpa, Mr.Anton Joseph Mahesan's 25th death anniversary gathering. Some of you knew my grandpa as a good relative, good friend, and a good neighbor. I just want to say a few words about my grandpa for those who didn't know him well. First of all, let me say to you that my grandpa was a convert. He was born and educated into a family as the youngest of 6 children in Kandy. When he was 5 years old, his dad, my great-grandpa, who was a railway station master, passed away. Then the family moved to their native place in Nallur, Jaffna. My grandpa was raised by his mom, his oldest siblings, and a Sinhalese nanny. He was an old boy of St. Patrick's College. When one of my grandpa's sisters, a graduate teacher who became a Catholic and later into religious life as a nun. Then my grandpa and one of his brothers, along with their mother, wanted to become Catholic and receive baptism in Mathu Shrine. My grandpa was 14 years old that time. My dad and my aunt used to say that my grandpa was a practicing Catholic, and he always says his night prayers before bedtime. He also encouraged them to say the family rosary every day. Though my grandpa's death was sudden, he had left behind sweet memories. Just to say few here, he was a very talented and honest man. He is a good sportsman too. He played tennis for college and clubs. He has spoken knowledge of French and very fluent in English and Sinhalese languages. As an accountancy and business communication professional, he worked for Ceylon government railways. He loved to hear classical songs as well as Terran movie songs. He used to whistle for grandma singing. He liked almost every dish that my grandma made. His favorite dishes were chicken curry, beef liver, eggplant chutney, and pumpkin curry. He would take a mini walk down the hallway after every meal, and he believed that it would help him with digestion. My grandpa liked to read books, mostly fiction stories. My grandpa was a good swimmer. My dad said that he used to go for a sea bath every weekend with my grandpa. My grandma and my grandpa also loved to entertain people at home. He was a people person. He was well respected by his family, relatives, friends and co-workers. He was a noble man. We miss him very much. Before I end this speech, I'll call upon my brother Terran to say a small prayer for our grandpa. Eternal rest grant unto him, O Lord, let perpetual light shine upon him. May he rest in peace. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. I call upon Uncle Ferdy, known as Ferdinand Master, who is a good friend of Grandpa, to say a few words.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I consider it as a great privilege to say a few words about Mahesan. Mahesan was, I think, about 4 years senior to me when I was at Patrick's. He was the batchmate of my elder brother, and also at that time Dr. Phillips and others were his classmates. So I had just a few acquaintances with him when I was at Patrick's. I don't know whether you remember what we call as the Jacob's Well next to the Matthews Lake. So during the recess time, we used to meet there and talk about the teachers and all that. It was at that time that I came to know that Mr. Silatura was known as Musal, because it was he who revealed it. And at that time we used to say how Mr. P.C. Chandrakanthan used to ask us to button the shirt up to that, and in case they failed, they were asked to get out of the class. I remember only one occasion when, because every Sunday we had to go for Mass to the chapel, and on one occasion I overslept and I asked my father to give me a treat, saying that I had gone to see my grandmother or something like that. But you don't know, those days it was very difficult, so my father said, you go and face the situation. So when I went, as I stood in the queue, Mr. Mahesan was just behind me. So, as you know, when you go to see Father Long, there is no alternative. You will just turn back and say, Headmaster, got sick. So I was prepared because I had about 2-3 trousers hooked up so that I could get the 6 quickly. And then I asked Mahesan, what shall I say? So I had a respect for him and asked him, Mahesan, and enna solluvaman. Solluvan grandmother paaka ponnu. So I was just shivering inside my pants, because if you tell Father Long that I went to see my grandmother, my father is a teacher there, my uncle is a teacher there, and he would immediately call my father and ask, is it true? So, trembling in my trousers and shaking inside my pants, I went in and met Father Long, and then he asked me what happened. So I said, Father, I overslept. That was a real fact. And he said, son, don't repeat it. So I escaped. This was the first acquaintance with him. And as you know, when they come, when Mr. Mahesan was living at Nallur, and when they come, they had to come over the Temple Road and then pass over to the carriage. On one occasion when we were going, there was a wedding, a burger wedding, and they were distributing cake. So Mahesan along with me said, why not we enjoy a cake? So Mahesan and we put the books in one corner and then went and got the cake and enjoyed it. The funniest thing is we had to eat the cake before we go to college. It's just a few yards. So we managed it. So those were the occasions. And then, as you know, we had a very strict disciplinarian Father Long, and then the headmaster and the class master and everybody. So on one occasion, when we went, so every time when we went to class, we had an English teacher, IL, who used to give us 0, 1, minus 2. So you can imagine what type of marks we got. So when I once met Mahesan, he said that he was teaching English. So you just imagine that a person, majority of us got 0, 1, minus 2, except Chandrakanthan and others who got high marks. And you must be informed that all those who studied in the IS, it was 100% results in English. All of us passed. And majority of us got English, got credit. So I asked Mahesan, how do you teach English? He said, don't you know these boys don't know what is subject and predicate, agreement of the verb and all that. So with the 0, 1, -2, he was teaching. But my acquaintance with Mahesan was when he married and then came to live in my neighborhood. He was living in the apartment next to my sister-in-law, and it was at that time that I came to know him very well. The best occasion that we enjoyed with Mahesan was his birthday. For his birthday, Mrs. Mahesan's, that is his mother-in-law, used to make 13 curries. And we were invited, and we didn't know which curry to enjoy because all of them were tasty. So that birthday was, we were invited for lunch as well as for dinner. So we enjoyed the lunch as well as the dinner. So these were occasions when I had happy occasions with Mahesan. And then I know that Mr. Mahesan was a very famous actor. And his quality of acting has been transferred to his son. And I know that when he was at St. Peter's, he directed a number of dramas and all that. So with this short description, I feel that I have done my obligation toward Mahesan, who was my best friend. Thank you.
I call upon Grandma, Mr. Christabel, and Woman Mahesan to say the word of thanks.
Hi everybody, I am Mrs. Christabel Mahesan, wife of late Mr.Anton Joseph Mahesan. I take this opportunity to thanking you all for coming for the Mass today and pray for the repose of the soul of my beloved husband, Anton Joseph Mahesan. Today his 25th death anniversary. He died on the 1st of May, but we are celebrating today. My special thanks to Reverend Father Joseph Chandrakanthan, son of my former teacher, late Chevalier Aradakilamuttu, who served the Mass today, who said the Mass today. Also, I thank my cousin, Reverend Father Christy Jochimpillai, and other relatives and friends. Even they have many physical problems, but they made the exertion to join us today. I also must thank my cousin Stella and her husband Mr. Gunam Francis Pulle, Mrs. Pushpam Jnanapragasam and her son Mr. Kennedy Jnanapragasam, who came all the way from Ottawa for this occasion. Once again I am thanking you all for coming today and prayed for the repose of the soul of my beloved husband, 25th death anniversary. Your kind presence and prayers are earnestly solicited. God bless you all. Thank you.
Now I call upon Reverend Dr. Joseph Chandrakanthan to say a few words, and Reverend Dr. Christy Jochimpillai to say the grace before meals.
There are very few of us here who were the contemporaries of Mr. Anton Joseph Mahesan. Most of you would remember him as he is now represented in this photograph. He died very young, leaving behind very young children. But what I think we should look at is the kind of faith that he lived and that also persisted in his family. His sister, who was herself a convert, became a nun. Sister Martina was the first native nun to be made principal of Holy Family Convent in Jaffna. Being converted at the age of 14, he continued to practice the faith, and we could see as how he instilled it in his very young children who are now grown up, married, and you could see their children speaking here for their grandfather. After 25 years, therefore almost a generation from now, we are looking back at his memory, the memory that he has left behind, how it nurtured his children as much as the burden of caring for them and bringing up a family is also found in his dear wife. And as far as I know them in Canada, their children, in-laws, other relatives, it's a very closely knitted family, and that's what I think our faith informs us, a family that prays together, stays together. And I wish that as we remember him, it is the memory of his life that should continue to sustain the unity, the fellowship, the goodness that the family lives and shares with all. Thank you.
So my dear friends, we are glad to be here, and especially first of all, I have great admiration for what all of us call Anpumani. Her real name is Christabel Rosairo, right? Christabel Rosairo, and she came late to Canada, but she became quite happy to be here and taking care of herself and others. And certainly I admire the power of bringing people together. And some are also afraid of her sometimes, but she is, if you get to know her